Hello, my name is Gary, and I was raised in the Western United States, so I'm a native English speaker. I hope that you will enjoy this YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us.
Three Little Kittens by Katharine PYLE, 1863–1938. Jazbury scampered up the stairs happily, where his mother and Aunt Tabby were sitting on the windowsill, grooming themselves. Jazbury was a small black kitten with white patches on his face and chest, and soft little white paws. Despite their softness, sharp claws were hidden in their velvet, and Jazbury knew how to use them when needed. Mother Bunch's tail dangled from the windowsill, swaying gently. It almost looked like a mouse, so soft and grey. Jazbury pounced, catching it with his claws. His mother growled, pulling her tail up and curling it round herself. Jazbury leapt after it, trying to get his mother to play. "Jazbury, you haven't cleaned yourself this morning," said his aunt sternly. "Look at your paws. You've been in the coal bin again, haven't you, you naughty kitten?" "Well, I thought I heard a mouse in there," meowed Jazbury. "A mouse? What would a mouse be doing in the coal bin?" "No, you just wanted an excuse to climb around and make noise. Now look how filthy you are." "Sit down and clean yourself, Jazbury," said his mother. "No, leave my tail alone, I'm not playing. And if you want breakfast, you'd better hurry up and wash. I won't let a dirty kitten eat from the same dish as me." Jazbury sat down and began to wash his face with one of his grimy little paws. His aunt sighed. "Paws first," she said. "You'll only get dirtier if you wash your face before your paws." "Oh, fine," meowed Jazbury, annoyed. "I don't know what will become of you if you don't stay clean," his aunt continued. "I once knew a cat who wouldn't wash, and her owner used to bathe her with water and soap. A sponge too. How would you like that? And it could happen to you unless you learn to keep yourself clean." Jazbury, worried that it could happen to him, started to clean himself properly. He washed his paws and used his little pink tongue to clean his face, rubbing his paw over his furry cheeks, forehead, chin, and even behind his ears. By breakfast time he was clean enough to join his mother and Aunt Tabby. The humans and the cats had breakfast at the same time. The humans sat in the dining room while the cats ate in the pantry. The cats always had good meals, bread and milk, fish twice a week, and sometimes meat and potatoes. "Why should I bother catching mice?" Jazbury often said. "I get all the food I want anyway." And his aunt would reply, "You should be grateful enough for your good meals to catch mice for the people." But Jazbury didn't pay much attention. All he cared about was having fun and playing, and if mice needed to be caught, he left it to his mother and Aunt Tabby. Jazbury's best friend was a small white kitten named Fluffy, who lived in the house next door. On the other side of Jazbury's house was an empty lot where the neighbours' cats gathered every night. It was supposed to be a singing club, but the cats often quarrelled, making a lot of noise. Mother Bunch and Aunt Tabby wished the cats would meet somewhere else, but Jazbury enjoyed listening. He dreamed of being old enough to join them, to sing, fight and stay out all night like they did. But for now he was still just a playful little kitten who hadn't even caught his first mouse. Once Jazbury climbed up on the fence and jumped into the lot, prowling through the weeds and chasing grasshoppers and crickets. He was having a great time. Another kitten was there, but he was hunting birds. He laughed at Jazbury for chasing grasshoppers and introduced himself as Yowler, a tough-looking yellow cat with a broad, ugly face and a scruffy coat. He belonged to the baker down the street. Jazbury liked Yowler because he was big, strong and bold, but when he told his mother about him, she didn't approve. She knew Yowler's reputation as a noisy troublemaker and warned Jazbury not to play with him or go back to the lot. However, Jazbury could always visit Fluffy's yard. Both Mother Bunch and Aunt Tabby liked Fluffy and thought he was a nice, well-behaved kitten. One day, Jazbury climbed the fence separating his yard from Fluffy's, saw his friend sitting on the kitchen steps, watching something in the grass. Fluffy was so focused that he didn't notice Jazbury at first. "Hey, Fluffy," Jazbury called. Fluffy jumped and turned around. "Oh, hi. What are you looking at?" Jazbury asked, curious. "A toad. Are you going to catch it?" "No, I don't like them. They don't have fur and I don't like how they feel." "Come on up here. I want to show you something." Fluffy climbed a stepladder that was leaning against the fence. "What are you going to show me?" he asked. "See this fence? Yesterday I walked all the way round it without falling off once. Fluffy looked at the fence. That's not so hard. It is too. You couldn't do it. Yes, I could if I wanted to. Then let's see you try. I don't feel like it. You're just scared. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Fraidy cat, never catch a mouse or a rat. I can too, and I can walk on the fence just like you. I'll show you. Walk to the post and back, and I'll give you a chicken bone I found behind the rain barrel. Deal, watch me. Fluffy started walking slowly and carefully along the fence, one paw in front of the other. Hurry up, you're going too slow, Jazbury teased. Stop meowing at me, Fluffy snapped. He made it to the post, but when he tried to turn around, he wobbled. His tail flailed, his claws scrambled for a grip, and with a loud meow, he half jumped, half fell into the flower bed below. Jazbury laughed and laughed, just like kittens do. You wouldn't have known he was laughing. You couldn't hear it, but another cat or kitten could. It hurt Fluffy's feelings to be laughed at. I don't care. I don't think you can do it either, he meowed. Just watch me, said Jazbury. He ran happily along the fence top without a single pause or misstep. He ran all the way down one side without stopping, and then started across the back fence toward the other side. Behind Jazbury's yard was another yard, where a rough boy lived. The boy was outside now, squirting a hose, and another boy with a very dirty face was with him. Hi, cried the dirty-faced boy. Look at that kitten walking along the fence. Yeah, answered the other. I'm going to spray him with the hose. Go for it, the first boy shouted. Let's see what he does. Jazbury was very frightened. He started to run. He could have jumped down from the fence, but he didn't think of it. He ran as fast as he could, but before he could reach the other side, a torrent of cold water hit him, nearly knocking him off the fence. The boy was spraying the hose on him, just as he'd said. Jazbury tried to cling to the fence. He tried to yell, but the rush of water filled his mouth, his eyes, his ears. Blinded and drenched, he was finally swept off the fence and landed in the yard below, thankfully his own yard. There the fence protected him. Fluffy watched in horror. Jazbury struggled to his feet and ran towards the house, leaving a trail of water behind him. Mew, mew, he cried. Oh, Mama, Mama, come quick. Mew, mew, mew. Mother Bunch heard him and rushed out of the kitchen, bursting through the screen door. What is it? What's the matter, Jazbury? She cried. Oh, I'm so wet, he shivered. Oh, my child, come here. Mother Bunch hurried him to a warm, sunny spot beside the kitchen steps and began to dry him with her rough pink tongue. But how did this happen? She asked again. Did you fall into something? I didn't fall into anything except the yard. It was some boys. They sprayed water on me, Jazbury explained, recounting the whole story. Aunt Tabby sat nearby, listening intently. Well, Jazbury, it's really no more than I expected, she said. Just like I told you, if you won't wash yourself, someone else will wash you. And I must say you look cleaner than you have in days. His mother said nothing. She thought Jazbury had been punished enough by getting drenched without being lectured too. Jazbury, I found a fresh mouse hole, Aunt Tabby said one day. It's in the cupboard under the sink, and the cook left the door open. Come with me and I'll show you. I have high hopes that the mouse will come out soon, and if you sit there and watch, you might catch him. Aunt Tabby, I don't want to watch mouse holes today, mewed Jazbury. I told Fluffy I would come out and play with him. Aye, Mother? I promised him, and I don't want to sit in the cupboard and wait. The mouse might not even come out, and Fluffy's expecting me. You always have an excuse, Jazbury, said his aunt sternly. If it were up to you, you'd never do anything but play. But since you need to learn to catch mice sometime, I don't see why today isn't as good a day as any to start. Yes, Jazbury, go with your aunt, said his mother. And don't look sulky. You should be grateful to her for telling you about the hole. But I don't want to sit in the cupboard all morning. I can find holes too. I found one in the shed yesterday, a big one. I'd rather watch that if I have to watch at all. Very well, Aunt Tabby replied. You can do what you like, but I think you have a much better chance of catching a mouse in the cupboard. I'd rather watch in the shed. His mother agreed that he could choose, but neither she nor Aunt Tabby expected he'd catch anything. I'll have to go tell Fluffy I can't play this morning, Jazbury said. Don't take long, his mother warned. Come straight back after you've told him." Jazbury promised he would, then ran into the kitchen and mewed for the cook to open the outside door. "Ugh, those cats," the cook grumbled. "It takes all my time letting them in and out." She left the soup she was stirring and walked over to open the door, and Jazbury dashed past her into the sunny yard. Fluffy was sitting on the top step of the ladder, peering over the fence and waiting for him. "I can't come out to play right now. I have to catch a mouse for Mother and Aunt Abby." Fluffy was intrigued. "Where are you going to go and catch it?" he asked. "In the shed. I found the hole myself. It's a big, big hole. I bet the biggest mouse you've ever seen lives in it. You'd probably be scared if you tried to catch a mouse that big, wouldn't you?" "Maybe I would and maybe I wouldn't." "I know you would." "I've caught some big mice too," Fluffy replied. "Not as big as this one, though. I'll show him to you after I catch him." Jazbury ran back and mewed for the cook to open the door again. The cook was so angry that she wouldn't open it for a while, but Jazbury mewed so loudly that eventually she had no choice but to comply for the sake of peace. When she finally opened the door, she yelled "scat" at him and kicked her foot at him as he dashed past. Jazbury didn't mind that. He hurried past her and out into the shed, the door fortunately left open. The hole he had found was behind a bench with some unused buckets piled up in front of it. Jazbury crouched down the shadow of the buckets, staying very still with his eyes fixed patiently on the hole. Aunt Abby would have been both pleased and surprised to see how motionless he was. After a while, however, he began to feel discouraged. He wondered if there were any mice there at all. Maybe Aunt Abby was right. He should have watched in the cupboard. Just as he was thinking this, he heard a scratching noise coming from the hole, and a grey head with a pointed nose and two gleaming black eyes appeared at the entrance. Jazbury trembled as he crouched even lower, ready to leap at the mouse. But suddenly he froze, staring wide-eyed. No mouse could have had such a big head. Following the head was a fat body and an incredibly long tail. The creature wasn't a mouse at all. It was a huge grey rat. Jazbury was terrified. His tail puffed up and every hair stood on end. The rat looked at him with a wicked grin. "Ho, ho! So you thought you could catch me, did you?" the rat taunted. "I knew you were there. I heard you and smelled you. You thought you could catch me, huh? Well, here I am. Let's see you try." The rat sidled closer to Jazbury, and just as quickly, Jazbury backed away. He tried to hiss and growl, but he was too scared. "Thought you'd catch me? Maybe I'll catch you instead. I love little kittens for supper, just as much as cheese." He jumped toward Jazbury, his sharp teeth flashing in a wicked grin. "Mama, Mama, Aunt Abby, come quick," Jazbury mewed shrilly. Suddenly the rat froze. His eyes widened as he glanced past Jazbury toward the kitchen door, and terror spread across his face. He turned and scuttled back to his hole. At that moment, there was an angry growl, and a grey shape dashed past Jazbury. It was Aunt Abby. She had heard Jazbury's cry for help and rushed in. She charged at the rat and made a wild grab for him, but he was too quick. He was already disappearing into the hole. She managed to catch his tail, but it slipped from her grasp, and the next moment the rat was gone. Jazbury began to mew pitifully. "Why, Jazbury, what are you crying about? You're safe," Aunt Abby said. "Mew, mew, mew. Oh, he scared me so. I didn't know there were mice like that." "Mice? That wasn't a mouse. Kitten? That was a rat, a big fierce rat too. No wonder you were frightened. You'll need to grow up a bit before you can handle a rat. I've been trying to catch him myself, but I'd never seen him until today. He always hides when I'm around." Aunt Abby continued to support the kitten until he finally stopped trembling and his fur smoothed back to its usual state. "Now, Jazbury, maybe you'll watch one of my mouse holes," she concluded. "I promise only mice come out of it." "Very well, thank you, Aunt Abby," Jazbury said meekly, following her back from the shed into the kitchen. He wondered what he would tell Fluffy when he saw him again, and how he would explain not having caught anything. However, he needn't have worried. Fluffy was such a gentle little kitten that he would never tease or make fun of anyone, no matter what they did or didn't do. The next morning, Aunt Abby offered again to show Jazbury the mouse hole in the cupboard. Jazbury looked grumpy. He was too embarrassed to try avoiding it again, especially after everything Aunt Tabby had done for him the day before. But it was hard to give up another morning of fun. He followed Aunt Tabby into the kitchen. The cook had gone to the market, and the cupboard door was slightly open. Aunt Tabby pushed it wide and led the way into the dark space where the pots and pans were kept. "Here's the hole, Jazbury," she whispered. "I think the mouse is out. If you stay completely quiet, it'll probably come back, but that's when you can catch it. I'd be really disappointed if you don't catch your first mouse this morning." "I don't feel like I can catch anything today," Jazbury muttered. "Now, Jazbury, don't think like that. If you don't catch it, it will be your own fault, and I'll be quite upset with you." Then Aunt Tabby left him there. She didn't go far, though. She was so eager for him to catch the mouse that she stayed nearby to listen, though Jazbury didn't know. Jazbury crouched in the shadow of the kettle, just as his aunt told him to, staying perfectly still with his eyes fixed on the hole. Not even a whisker moved. He really wanted to catch that mouse, just to show Aunt Tabby what he could do. His mother would be proud and surprised if he managed to get one. The kitchen was silent, the clock ticked, and the kettle simmered on the stove. Suddenly Jazbury heard a faint scratching sound behind one of the pots. It was so quiet that only a cat could hear it. His eyes widened and his muscles tensed, ready to pounce. Then, out from behind the pot, a winged grasshopper flew by, almost brushing his nose. Forgetting all about the mouse, Jazbury leapt for the grasshopper. He knocked into a tin pan, sending it crashing to the floor with a loud clatter. At the same moment, a small grey shadow darted across the floor and disappeared into the mouse hole. It was the mouse, and Jazbury had missed it. Right after, Jazbury felt a sharp tap on his ear that nearly knocked him over. "You bad boy," Aunt Tabby scolded. "I'm completely out of patience with you. Even when the mouse ran right under your nose, you couldn't catch it." Jazbury started to cry. "You didn't have to hit me, it wasn't my fault." "Yes, it was, that's what frustrates me so much. Fluffy isn't even as quick as you, and look at how many mice he catches. I'm ashamed of you." Mother Bunch's round, furry face appeared at the door. "What's going on? Has Jazbury done something wrong?" "No, that's the problem," Aunt Tabby said, telling her the whole story, while Jazbury stood there sulky and embarrassed. "I don't care, it's not my fault," he muttered. "Don't say I don't care to me," said Mother Bunch. "It's disrespectful to me and your aunt. The mouse is gone now, so there's no point in staying here. You can go sit on the kitchen steps, but no playing or visiting Fluffy. That's your punishment for being careless and disrespectful."